Let's hear it for Ashley. Ashley Monroe was born in Knoxville, Tennessee, and got her start in music in one of the most authentic places that you ever could, which is Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, home of a lot of young dreamers like Ashley. As a teenager, she and her family moved to Nashville, where Ashley became a songwriter. She is still a young woman. She's on her third solo album. She's worked with everyone from Ronnie Dunn to Jack White to Wanda Jackson to Blake Shelton to Miranda Lambert and Angelina Presley, with whom she formed the group the Pistol Annies, one of the best bands out there, no matter what gender. They are one of the most groundbreaking all-female trios out there as well. Before we hear music from Ashley, she and I are going to have a little conversation. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Miss Ashley Monroe. We're sitting in these very weird stools. So.
Okay, well, you hold this mic. Okay, thank you, Anne.
Sisterhood is powerful.
Okay. There we go. Okay, I'm ready.
Hello, Ashley.
Hi, Anne. Hi, everyone.
It's nice to see you in New York City, although we are both living in Nashville now.
I know, which is hotter than this, actually, right now. My gosh.
Hotter, but better air-conditioned.
Won't say anything. They're from New York. I'm not saying anything.
That's true. I wanted to ask you about your wonderful new album, The Blade, which was coming out shortly. It's such an eclectic mix while staying grounded in country music and in your roots in both country and I'd say Western music. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if you could talk a bit about expanding your sound, being flexible, reaching into kind of a wonderful pop realm while staying true to your country roots.
Well, I think Like a Rose for me was kind of me catching up because I hadn't released a record since I was 19. So I'd written all these songs, and so a lot of the songs on Like a Rose I'd written when I was 18 and 19 years old, and I was trying to just say, okay, this is the base of who I am right here. This is the core, traditional country. I can't sing anything and it not sound traditional country. But I wanted it stripped down. I wanted it as raw country as it could be. But then I started writing a lot more. There were a lot more new songs on The Blade that I had written, and that's where I am as a 28-year-old woman. And people always try to get me to kind of bash pop, or say, "Can you believe country's turning pop?" And it's like, guess what? I love pop music. I love all kinds of music. I'm not going to bash any kind of music that moves me. I think there's good music and I think there's bad, and I don't put a genre on anything. And I hear a lot of people tell me like, I didn't like country music and I like your record. And I think that's so powerful because you don't have to put a genre on it. If music speaks to you, let it speak to you. You don't have to go, well, that's pop or that's hip hop or whatever it is. If it speaks to you, let it speak to you. That's the power of it. So I think The Blade definitely shows that I've grown as a woman and maybe as a songwriter, and I was a little bit more confident going in, and I knew exactly how I wanted it to sound. I knew what I wanted the image to look like. That was all me, that was all what I wanted to be, and I couldn't be more proud. And with Vince Gill overseeing it, it makes you a little more confident, if it's okay.
It's funny because you must have read my notes. My next question was about Vince.
Okay.
So Vince co-produced this record with Jared Neiman also, right?
Oh, not Jared Neiman, Justin Niebank.
Sorry,
not
Justin,
Jared Neiman.
Oh my goodness. What was that?
See, you were tricking me to see if I was paying attention. I've had wine, but I'm paying attention.
I've only had Benadryl. What can I say? Let's try that one more time. So Vince co-produced this album. And when I think about Vince, and you've known and worked with Vince for quite a long time, yes. To me, he's the epitome of elegance.
He is.
That's his, and grace. And I wonder about, if you could talk a little bit about your sound, I think also has a very elegant side to it, and how that fits in with country music themes and tropes, like which people think of as more down home or whatever.
Yeah.
But
you look at Vince Gill and his career, and you look at, oh my gosh, I Still Believe in You, and Go Rest High, and Whenever You Come Around. He also had Liza Jane. He also had all these up-tempo songs, but there was something, like you said, very, very eloquent about every song he sang. He did it with such class, and you could tell he felt every word he sang of every song he sang. And that's a great model for me to look at with my songs. I don't ever want to sing something that's fluff. Now that doesn't mean I don't want to sing a fast song, you know. I feel good, na 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 na. I mean, that's a fast song that's, you know, just simple, but you feel it, right? So that's kind of my gauge. And I think Vince has kind of the same gauge of, if you feel it and it has some soul behind it, you sing it, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, rock and roll is all about simplicity, but also all about deep feeling. And you actually have a rockin' number or two on this new album.
Do, yes.
So talk to me about like what it's like to play a great song for dancing, a great song that really gets your hot band going.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see here. I have like 2, I think. No, 3, I think. On to Something Good was the first single. And, you know, I wanted to give radio another try because that's such a huge outlet. When you're on radio, you're reaching millions and millions and millions of people. Even though I didn't feel like I necessarily fit in with what they were playing, I wanted to give it another try.
And we think radio should give you another try.
I do
Ashley
too.
Monroe.
Thanks, guys.
All kinds of radio, country radio, pop radio, NPR.
Oh, yeah, NPR. That's my kind of radio, actually. But, so I wrote On to Something Good, which is an example to me of how I felt it. You know, when I wrote that song, I was thinking about all I'd been through and how everybody has a story and how important it is to keep on going when life gets you down, because it's so hard. Sometimes you're like, all right, this is it. This is going to kill me. And then it doesn't. And you're like, oh, my gosh, I got to keep on going. And then I just think there's an importance in knowing if you're still alive and you're still breathing, then you need to be, you know. So there was one positive song I wrote, and I was like, well, this might work at radio. But it didn't. That's okay. I still am proud of it, and I'm still really proud of it. And then I Buried Your Love Alive. It was rocking it, and it's dark, but it still has that rockin' groove to it, which I wrote with Matresa Berg, who is dark, and I am too. So you put her and I in a room together, and that's what you're going to get.
And then Winning Streak. We've got
and then Winning Streak I wrote with Chris Stapleton and Jesse Alexander. Yes, Chris Stapleton, yes. And I love songs that the words are kind of negative, but it comes with a fast beat. Like I love Roger Miller, Dang Me, because of that. It's like, ought to take a rope and hang me, and everybody's dancing, and it's like, this is so depressing, you know, but you're dancing to it. And those songs are kind of hard to write too, but I love Winning Streak. And that's actually the Superlatives, Marty Stewart's band, doing all the background vocals on Winning Streak. Little fun fact. Vince will throw in little things like, yeah, I had the Superlatives over. I had Alison Krauss over to do this background part. Want to hear? I'm like, yes, I do.
So I have this new slogan for Nashville, where the stars hug you, because it's kind of that town where like you run across the stars in the grocery store or something. Or like you saying it, and it sounds like you have you've had so many amazing collaborators. Has it ever felt intimidating to you, or how did you become the confident woman you are today, growing up amongst all these amazing artists?
You know, I think the more I got confident in myself and just understood that, all right, I can accept that I have a gift and that singing is my gift. That's all I could. Sing and songwriting is all I can do. I can't dance. I can't do anything else. I didn't finish high school. I don't have any other gifts, but I do believe in gifts. I think everyone has one. And so when everyone, was wanting to collaborate and everything, it was these people from all different genres that I knew loved music as much as I did. I thought, well, I must have what they have too. They must see something in me. And instead of putting myself down and say I'm not worthy, I should just step up and just have fun and enjoy these memories I'm going to make, that I'm going to look back on when I'm 80 years old and go, wow, I cannot believe I got to sing with them, And it's always intimidating singing in front of Vince Gill. It just is. I've never heard him miss a note, ever heard him miss a note. And so when I sing in front of him, I make sure I sing really, really, really good. I'm paying attention super hard. And Miranda said the same thing. When she went and did backgrounds on The Blade, she said, it's not really easy singing in front of Vince. And I was like, tell me about it. My gosh, it's not easy at all. But I think it's good to challenge yourself and to always learn from the people you're collaborating with to be better.
You're also connected to Nashville's rock community. You've worked with Jack White.
Yes.
You wrote a song with Brendan Benson on this
Me
record?
and Brendan, yes. We wrote Mayflower that's on this record, but he and I also have a whole nother project that right after I did the Raconteurs collaboration with Ricky Skaggs, and Brendan and I just hit it off. It was just instant. Our voices meshed so well together, and we would write every single day for months on end. So we've written, my gosh, probably 20 songs. And I bet one day we're gonna probably just finish our record and release it because it's real. I'm really proud of it, you know.
I hope so, because Mayflowers is one of my favorite
Is
songs.
it?
On
Okay,
the new
good
albums.
then.
I really love it.
Thank you. I love Brendan. Like I said, I respect all kinds of music, and to have Jack, you know, Jack heard me on 6:50 a.m. and he said that I was singing Hank's Cadillac, a song from my first record, Satisfied, and he said that he pulled the car over because he was moved and he wanted to hear who it was, and that's another, you know, testament to just he's a music lover. He loves all, you know, if it moves you, let it move you.
So when you know, one of the things actually about your writing that struck me from the very beginning of my listening to it is that you present an image of a woman, a person who's really kind of, well, very complex and lives in what might be called not the gray area, but the beige area.
Yeah. Oh, look at you.
She has a wonderful song called Beige that she did with the Pistol Annies. But I wonder about that, like building an image of this woman who's imperfect, who, you know, suffers, but who also experiences joy, who's not afraid to break some rules, smoke some weed, maybe.
Yeah.
Was that ever something is that something that just came naturally because that's who you are, or was it something you really had to kind of steel yourself to do within country music?
No, I've always worn my heart on my sleeve. I don't have anything to hide. I don't have anything to hide. I feel like when things happen to you or you are who you are, it's okay to share it with everybody. That's the whole point of it, is to share it. Why try to keep a secret and try to fake, you know, to be somebody else? What's the point of that, you know? And I've had a crazy life for 28. One day I'll write a book and you guys you won't believe it. It's the wackiest thing my life has been, but I feel like that it's supposed to be that way, and I wouldn't be able to write the songs that I've written without that life. And who am I to try to hide who I am? You know, I think that what's gotten me through life, what kept me living and breathing and yearning for something was music. It always was. I would turn on a song and be like, oh, this person knows what I've been through. You know, so who am I to ever deny anybody of the truth of what I'm feeling?
Did you look to some of the great women of country who also had crazy lives, Loretta Lynn, Dolly Parton?
Absolutely. I mean, my gosh, Fifth City, Loretta Lynn, like listen at that. That's just, she just spells it out. And Dolly, same thing. I remember I read Dolly's book when I was younger, and she said, there's 3 things I love more than anything: God, sex, and music, and not particularly in that order. And I was like, how awesome. She just said, you know, she just says it. And, you know, if people want to judge, that's fine. You'll always have people that want to judge you, but I don't know. I love the truth, and that's what country music's always stood for.
One way that you remind me of Dolly is
not this.
In your sense of style. No, which we are going to talk about your sense of style, but actually it's in your vocal register and in your timbre. And I wonder if I'm sure that, you know, your voice came naturally, but also you have been singing professionally for quite a long time for such a fresh young thing like yourself. And I'm just wondering how you developed the particular approach to singing that you have.
You know, I've always heard people say, you know, you remind me of Leanne Womack, you remind me of Alison Krauss, you remind me of Dolly Parton. I hear that a lot. And that is such a huge compliment, but I never tried to sound like anybody else. I never sat and go, you know, the only thing that I taught myself through listening to others was yodeling. I would listen to people yodel, and I would try to figure out how they did that. So I'd walk around the house yodeling, which I'm sure my parents were like, why, God? Why?
What is the key? What is the key to yodeling?
You just got to go an octave up and make your voice break. I figured it out about a month later, but the process of it was painful, I'm sure. But yeah, I never tried to sound like anybody else. That's just what came out. And, you know, I always say, being from East Tennessee, I was born, even before Daddy died, I had this lonesome in my heart. I would weep when I heard music. I played classical piano, and I would sit up there and bawl, cry when I would play that. I always had this love of music, and it was a lonesome feeling, in a good way. That's the only thing I know how to explain it. But I think being from East Tennessee, there must be something in my blood that was just passed down. That's, you know, my dad's first cousin was Carl Smith, who was married to June. He's in the Country Music Hall of Fame. He was married to June before Johnny, and they had Carlene, and that's I have a lot of musical blood, floating around. So I don't know. I've never really understood it, but it's a huge compliment. And I do hear that too. And Vince taught me, he has that obviously that high register, and he can do those licks and all that. And he taught me how to kind of hold back and just use those licks every now and then, or once a song even, so it'll just really slay them. So, but I don't get offended when people tell me I sound like Dolly Parton, and I hear it too. And Dolly wrote me a letter that said, you remind me a lot of myself, and so. I mean, good gosh, it could be way worse.
No, that's the highest. That's the highest compliment. Well, let's talk for a second about your songwriting. One thing that you do in your songwriting that I find really admirable is you'll take a metaphor and extend it in such a creative and not corny way.
Yeah.
I think about a song like Bombshell on the new album, and I always wonder about that challenge of making it work, making the turn of phrase work throughout a song without it just hitting you over the head and driving you crazy. How do you do that?
I don't know. I don't know how to even write a song. People ask me all the time, like, how do you write? And I go, I don't know. It just comes to me. And if I think about it too much, I'm afraid it'll go away. So I try not to. But I know when I wrote Bombshell, I was thinking about all the things in life that we have to tell people. Oh, that there's no other way around it except to say it. So it's, I don't love you anymore. It's, I'm gay. It's, I'm pregnant. It's, I have cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. We've all had them dropped on us, and we've all dropped them. And I never heard that, in a song before. So I thought, wow, what a unique idea to talk about are those bombshells. And then I love the last verse of Bombshell because it goes, it ain't the easy way. There's always a price to pay. So it isn't like you tell somebody, I don't love you anymore, and then you just walk away and skip. It messes you up to know you broke somebody's heart. So. Oh,
yeah, definitely. And I think that's a great example too of a song. You were talking about fast songs that deal with, like unhappy themes, but that's a song that's so beautiful and soothing in a way, and yet you're dealing with this heavy topic. Yeah. But then sometimes you'll write a song in which you just like reassure. I wonder, like, some of your more reassuring love songs, is that a product of that big shiny thing on your on your finger? Has being married changed things for you?
Being married isn't easy. People always say, well, now that you're married, how do you still write sad songs? It's like, my gosh, marriage is not, you don't skip through marriage. That's not easy either. That's a whole nother level of complicated, really. I've grown up. I've had to learn how to compromise and how to make things work and how to fight for something that you love and work together to make something work. But it's no picnic. Shoot. I think that sometimes the songs I write that, like even The Weight of the Load, I think sometimes I write things that are comforting to hear. Even has anybody ever told you, it's comforting for me to hear those words. It's comforting for me to sing that. Sometimes I think of my nephew when I sing that song. It could be any kind of love, but anything that's comforting. Hell, sometimes I sing it to myself when I really need to hear something sweet.
No, that does make a lot of sense. It actually makes that song, The Weight of the Load, also makes me want to ask you is if you listened to Southern gospel music growing up.
Oh boy, did I ever. Yeah, I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and we had shaped hymnals, and yes, I am madly in love with Southern gospel music. I love the harmonies. I love the melodies behind that, and yes, I very much did listen to that. Still do.
I can definitely hear that in your music. And then how does that connect to bluegrass for you, which I also know is a love of yours?
Yes, I also listen to Dole Lawson and J.D. Crowe in the New South. Also, those melodies and harmonies. I've always been moved by harmonies, and I think that was what was so cool about Pistol Annie's too, is that I love singing harmony, and I could pick it out, and I don't have to take lead. Even after Pistol Annie's came, we stopped touring for a little bit, and we all did our solo stuff. It took me a while to learn the melodies of my songs again. I was singing high harmony to Like a Rose, like, oh my gosh, Ashley, sing the melody. Yeah, I've definitely been moved by gospel.
So. I have one of my outstanding songs on the new album is the title track. And I saw you do a show recently, and you talked about hearing that song for the first time. I mean, when I heard that song for the first time, it's it made me want to say the corniest thing you can ever say, which is, I got chills. I truly got chills.
I'll call it the chill factor. I think that's important in music.
And can you just talk about discovering that song and how it made you feel and how you decided to record it?
Earlier this year, I went through a really rough patch in life and kind of was knocked off the rails for a little while. And my manager heard that song and put it on hold for me. But he knew I was a little bit too tender to be able to hear it because, well, I was a little bit MIA. And when I came back around and kind of came to and my heart started healing, he said, I really want you to hear the song. You know, I think it's exactly what you're going through, and if you don't cut it, somebody else will. So I heard it, and I said, you know what? I've never heard heartbreak put that way. And I've written a lot of heartbreaking songs, and I've heard a lot of heartbreaking songs. So I couldn't have been more honored to have cut that song. It was the last song I cut. And then when we were thinking about the title of the record, Grady said, my manager said, what about the blade? You know, every song on the record cuts in a way. And I go, yeah, it sure does. And yes, I think that's a great idea.
I just want to thank you for making music that is both complex and completely welcoming. I think that's the ultimate goal for a songwriter, is to be able to, not shut people out, but also challenge them. And I really feel like this record does that.
Okay.
And
thank you. You have good taste.
Well, and speaking of good taste, the last thing I want to ask you about is a completely frivolous thing, which is or not, because it's actually central to country music and central to women in country music, which is your style.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit backstage about your love of shopping and style and fashion, and
oh boy.
I just wonder if you can just give a few tips to the audience here about how to have the incredible style of Ashley Monroe.
Oh no. I think that everybody has their own style, which is what's so amazing about style, is that I love 60s. I love 60s retro. I love big thick eyeliner, obviously. I love bleach blonde hair, obviously. But I've grown into learning about it. I didn't know anything about style when I was 19. I mean, I thought I knew what I was doing, but looking back, it wasn't that pretty. But that's okay. I was just young. But I don't know. I was telling her backstage, I said, I think about clothes all the time. I think about them all the time. Well, that will go with that, won't it? Well, I mean, like, well, by gosh, thank you. I paid someone to make me look great today.
And it wasn't me.
Yeah, she's been back there doing glam. Thank you. But I think that I wanted this record to definitely portray the style part of it as well. And I had pulled pictures of Edie Sedgwick, so many pictures of Edie Sedgwick.
I know, when I was a teenager.
I love that woman. And what great chic style, and Sharon Tate, and all these people that I would just look at and go, oh, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, and I would send it to my stylist and send it to my makeup artist and say, get ready, because this is what I feel like will fit this record. I think, and people are always like, is it all about the image? But you look at Tammy Wynette, and you look at Loretta, and you look at Dolly. For God's sakes, look at Dolly. Everyone you have to. It's good to stand out. It's good to have something that's cool to look at too. That all of our idols, even the dudes did it. My gosh, look at all those Manuel suits Porter wore. It's all right to be flashy.
Marty Stewart.
Oh, he's such a babe. I mean, he's so cool looking.
I would venture to say, they say the eyes are the window to the soul.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the style is the window to the soul.
It is kind of, isn't it?
And I think that's true of your music, the way it sounds too. Like the way you dip into so many different musical styles just broadens the emotional palette of what you do. So.
Thank you. I love music so much, so I'm honored, so honored to get to do it for a living and to have all of you care enough to come and listen. So honestly, it means so much to me. Thank you.
And with that, I think we should hear a little music. So
Ash.
Getting good at letting these excuses roll so easy off my tongue, and you're getting good at making me feel nothing while I'm hurting